Nobody ever tells you that saving more money when you're broke is the wrong goal. They just keep handing you the same advice. Cut the coffee, make a budget, spend less. But that advice assumes the problem is your behavior. What if the actual problem is the system you are behaving inside of? What's up, guys? Here's the uncomfortable truth this video is built on. Most low-income wealth advice is designed for people who are already comfortable. It assumes you have margin. It assumes your stress is manageable. It assumes that discipline is just a decision you can make. But when you are living at the edge of your income every single month, discipline is not the gap. Clarity is. And today, we are going to close that gap using 10 strategies that Machiavelli, a man who understood power and survival better than almost anyone in recorded history, would have recognized immediately. Machiavelli wrote his most famous work while he was broke, politically exiled, and completely stripped of status. He had every reason to be bitter. Instead, he got precise. And that is exactly the energy we need here. Let's start with the idea most financial advice skips entirely. Your relationship with money is not rational. It is emotional. Research out of the University of Cambridge suggests that financial habits formed before the age of 7 tend to persist well into adulthood, often without conscious awareness. 7 years old, before you ever earned a paycheck, your brain had already decided what money means, whether it is safe, scarce, shameful, or empowering. So when you try to just save more, you are fighting a belief system that has been running in the background for decades. That is not a willpower problem. That is a wiring problem. And wiring requires a different approach. The first move is the one that sounds almost insultingly simple. Pay yourself before you pay anyone else. Not what is left over. Not a percentage of whatever survives the month. The first transfer, before rent feels wrong, before the number feels too small, before logic talks you out of it. John D. Rockefeller did this as a young bookkeeper earning a modest income. Long before anyone knew his name, he did not save because he had extra. He saved because he decided his future self was a creditor, and that creditor came first. The habit did not make him wealthy overnight, but it changed what he believed about himself. That is actually the point. The money is almost secondary. But here's the part nobody talks about. Paying yourself first only works if you can see where everything else is going, and most people genuinely cannot. A behavioral economist at Princeton named Eldar Shafir spent years studying how scarcity affects decision-making, and his research produced a finding that reframes everything. When people feel financially scarce, their cognitive bandwidth actually narrows. They become intensely focused on immediate problems and functionally blind to long-term patterns. In other words, being broke makes it harder to see the leaks. Not because you are careless. Because your brain is in triage mode. Tracking your spending is not a punishment. It is turning the lights on. Most people think they know roughly what they spend. They are almost always wrong by a factor of 2. The delivery fees. The subscriptions that renewed 3 months ago. The small purchases that feel like nothing and add up to everything. Tracking does not require a complicated system. It requires honesty. And once you have it, you stop negotiating with a number you invented. You negotiate with reality. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because once you see the real numbers, the next step is not to earn more. It is to stop spending on image. The strategy is called living below your means, but that framing makes it sound like deprivation. It is not. It is positioning. Machiavelli was direct about this. He believed that the most dangerous thing a person of limited resources could do was reveal their full hand before they were ready to play it. Living quietly, building invisibly, not performing prosperity for an audience that is not paying your bills. That is not sacrifice. That is strategy. Think about 2 people on the same salary. One upgrades their apartment. their car, their wardrobe, every time their income slightly improves. The other keeps their lifestyle flat and redirects the difference. 3 years later, one of them has options. The other needs their next paycheck to arrive on time. Same income, completely different outcomes. Most people stop here. Don't. Because discipline without structure eventually breaks. Machiavelli understood this better than most motivational speakers ever will. He once wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved." If you cannot be both, people usually apply that to leadership. But apply it to your own financial habits, and it means something different. Do not trust yourself to feel disciplined every day. Build a system that does not care how you feel. Automate the transfer to a separate account with no debit card. Remove the app from your phone. Make the money genuinely hard to reach. You are not fighting laziness. You are outsmarting temptation. That is a design problem, not a character problem. Once you have the margin, the next move is to turn it into ownership. Not a savings account earning nothing. Ownership. Even $500 invested in a low-cost index fund is not about the return. It is about the identity shift. You are now someone who owns a piece of something that grows while you sleep. Warren Buffett bought his first stock as a teenager. The amount was irrelevant. The habit of thinking like an owner was everything, and that thinking compounds the same way the money does. Here is where the social dynamics piece enters. Debt is not just a financial tool. It is a control mechanism. Buy now, pay later. 0% financing. Minimum monthly payments. None of these were designed for your freedom. They were designed to keep your future income already spent. When your lifestyle depends on payments, you cannot walk away from a bad job, a bad relationship, or a bad situation. Debt is a leash with a comfortable handle. Killing the debt traps is not about being cheap. It is about reclaiming optionality. Because optionality is what power actually feels like in practice. Not a title, not a car. The ability to say no without catastrophic consequences. And the final layer is the one that almost no one talks about openly. Stealth. Real wealth is quiet. The people who have built something lasting are almost never the loudest ones in the room. They are not performing prosperity. They are protecting momentum. Because visibility invites comparison, comparison invites pressure. And pressure produces decisions made for the wrong reasons. The goal is not to impress. The goal is to be free. Build the system. Automate it. Let it run. Let time do what time does. And stop measuring your progress by how it looks to other people. This is what Machiavelli understood about power that most people completely miss. It is not about what you display. It is about what you control. Income is not power. Control is. And control starts with one small, boring, unglamorous decision made consistently, even when nothing around you seems to be changing. If this shifted how you see your own situation, even slightly, then subscribe to Vertex Vision. Every video here is built on the same principle. No performance, no noise, just the kind of thinking that actually changes outcomes, like the video if this landed. And if someone in your life is stuck in the same loop, send it to them. Sometimes the right framework at the right moment is the only thing that needed to change.